All right, let's get into these rookie quarterbacks. Let's talk about both their games in Week 15, and then I'll ask you the question of all questions here, which I already know the answer to because I can read your mind, Rick. Let's start with Bryce Young. Week 15 against Atlanta. Terrible weather in Carolina. Probably his best game of the year. No turnovers. Yay, Bryce. Got sacked, had a fumble, recovered it. Whatever, we'll take it. I think the right tackle got smoked on that play, if I recall correctly. But again, he's doing a lot of things we saw him do. I think for me, instead of going through play-by-play, I think that last drive had some really good ideas of throws. I think the weather affected the flight of the ball and the ability to push it down the field. But thankfully, his receivers were making plays for him, which is something we haven't seen consistently. So I loved his ability to push the ball down the field and some of those out routes. Mingo played better. I thought Thielen probably played his best game. The offensive line held up a little better than usual, and it all came together, and they won a football game. 18-24, just on 167 yards. He rushed 4 times for 9 yards. 13 starts. He's 2-11. He's completed just under 60% of his balls, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not great, but I think we're seeing finally some progress in the right direction.
Yeah, no. And the one thing I noticed is the ball's coming out of he's throwing with anticipation, especially some of those deep out routes that he threw. They're coming out before the receiver is getting out of the break. So I think he's starting to understand how tight the windows are to throw in and when to throw those balls at the NFL level. And for a small guy, and everybody's going up, he actually threw the ball pretty well in very horrible conditions with the rain and the wind or whatever it was down there. And it was great to see him because you've seen it when he was at Alabama, when the bright lights come on or they need something to happen. He had a fourth quarter come from behind win, which was a great confidence booster for him, I believe, and shows that there's much more to come in his game as he continues to progress.
Something else that I noticed, he wasn't as jumpy in the pocket. It felt like he was a little calmer in the pocket. He wasn't looking to run at the first sign of trouble. And I get it. You get gun shy after you get hit in the head 50 times over the course of the first 14 weeks. I thought that was an improvement as well. We know that David Tepper had implored Frank Reich to fix Bryce's footwork in week 11 or whatever that was, and that seems like not the time to do it. But it just felt like maybe things are starting to slow down for Bryce in a good way.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's comfortable in the offense. They're doing some things that he does well. There's a little bit more play action and things that he excels at. So, and kudos to him for as hard of a rookie season he has had. He's never quit, and he continues to try to get better. And we saw him take another step forward last week.
All right, let's talk about Will Levis here quickly. 17-26 for 199 yards in overtime. Had the interception, could have had a couple more. Rushed 4 times for 25 yards. His afternoon ended when he got rolled up on. It had a high ankle sprain. Again, the hits this guy's taken, they're not sustainable. The sack was just a sack. That's how he got hurt. It wasn't him running and trying to take on a 300-pound defensive tackle. But I'll start with this because as I watched the game, I'm like, Jesus, these guys are behind the sticks consistently. And I looked it up. They ran 38 plays, the Titans did, on second or third down. 31 of those plays, 82% of those plays were for 7 or more yards in terms of getting the first down.
That's not winning football.
Sweet mercy. 45% of those plays had 10 or more yards to go. 18% of those plays had 15 or more yards. I mean, you can't win like that. They couldn't get Derrick Henry going. And some of the throws Will Levis made shows off his arm strength, so on and so forth. The interception was a ball that he forced to D-hop, and it looked like he just either didn't see the cornerback underneath because he had Chris Moore, another receiver, streaking down the field that if he could have set his feet, he could have thrown that ball 60 yards. But again, I think the good is pretty good. And then the bad, you do question the decision-making at times, but he got sacked 7 freaking times. They're in second and third and long situations consistently. Is there a lot you can take away from this other than he's incredibly tough?
Yeah, no, there's no question. And we talked about on some previous podcasts on how tough this kid is and how that probably is resonating in the locker room. But he's going to have to protect himself because even on a couple of his scrambles now, a couple of times I understand why he's getting a first down. You know, he converted a third down, I believe, on a scramble. But the only thing that I'm concerned, and the arm talent, I mean, he can make every throw, and it's incredible to see the ball come off his hands. But the decision-making is very concerning. You mentioned the 1 interception, but I counted probably 2 or 3 more that should have been intercepted. And the other thing is that was the issue when he came out of Kentucky, was his decision-making and forcing the ball into coverages. And So hopefully he learns from that. I still don't think he is a great processor in the pocket, but I understand he is a rookie. But he is talented athletically. He's tough as nails, but he has to get better at his decision making. And that seems to continue to show up week in and week out.
So where are you? Because he throws a lot of what I like to call YOLO Josh Allen balls down the field, just letting his receivers get an opportunity to win. Deep balls typically near the sideline. And some of those, as you pointed out, should have been intercepted. Even one, I think, either late in the fourth or early in overtime in their game Sunday. Are you okay with those kind of throws to DeAndre Hopkins because he makes those catches? Or do you still want to have a situation where your wide receiver has an opportunity to have the advantage?
I think that's what you do when you break down the film. So I can understand, okay, you're forcing the throw. Why are you forcing the throw? Because it's D-Hop and he's got a chance to go up and make a play. But how many guys were open underneath so we can continue the drive and keep the ball moving down the field? You don't have to be a hero every snap. And I think he has a tendency in his mindset is to be a hero every snap.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right. You're starting a franchise tomorrow. You need a franchise quarterback. And Roger Goodell has given you you can have this one player, but only Bryce Young or Will Levis. Who you taking to start the franchise?
Are you asking me, or do you know the answer already?
Oh, I know the answer, but I don't want to get you on the record. So
Bryce Young.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think. Like I like Will Levis, and I think would you admit that he's exceeded your expectations thus far?
I do. I do.
I think so too. And Bryce has not exceeded our expectations thus far, but there's some mitigating circumstances.
But there's two different levels of expectations too. So
that's true. I'm going with Bryce as well. I'm not hesitating. I'm just trying to think through the process of why that is and why it's not Will Levis. And I think it's for the reasons that we're sort of talking about here. And I think Bryce is gonna, if they can fix the offensive line and get him someone who can get open. I'm eager to see Bryce next year. And if you're listening to us, Debo just put up a photograph of Bryce. And
Debo comes up with photos now just off the cuff. It's amazing. Does he use that like Google search thing, or how does he come up with these?
Debo, are you using quote
AI?
Google?
This actually never happened. This is just AI.
Did they play? They might be. Is it AI?
No.
Where did they play?
They played a couple weeks ago.
Oh, they did? I mean, I can't remember anything. Yeah, if you're looking at it's a photograph of Young and Will Levis talking to midfield, and our buddy Pete Prisco's first comment would be, look how short he is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. All right. Got him on record, Debo. He's taking Bryce Young over Patrick Mahomes. You heard it here first.
I think Joey Harrington may surprise some people this year.
That's Pete from Training Camp 2007 talking about the Falcons and Joey Harrington in his squeakiest of squeaky voices. Oh, man, that's hilarious.
I think Joey Harrington is going to surprise some people this year.
Hey, listen, credit to Pete Prisco for going through puberty at age 48. So he finally got there. He did it. His voice has changed, and now he's a big boy.
And he still didn't grow.
He didn't grow, but his voice changed. So you can't have everything, Rick. We all can't have your head of hair and your power lifter physique.